I didn't play darts for 3 months, and here's what happened to my game. So, as you probably guessed, not been about for a while. I've been busy grinding, working 100+ hour weeks, slaving away, and unfortunately not playing. Needs must. Moved into a new house, which I'm very happy for, and obviously working hard to do that. But that took its toll on the darts game, unfortunately. So the 10,000 hours experiment had its first little proper pause. But I also thought it'd be a good time to not touch it. I could have thrown little bits and pieces, but to be honest, it'd been declining for a little while and I needed a bit of a sort of stop-start refresh. So this is what this is all about. This is the start of driving through that winter season, really hitting the practice hard. I'm going to aim for about 10 hours a week. And I've got the setup now so I can actually stick to it. I've got my board where I need it. I've got everything around me set up how I am. So I can't complain about anything now, there's no excuses. But yeah, this video really is to just show you guys exactly what happened to my darts game after not playing or not throwing in anything, or even practicing properly for 3 months. So it gives you an idea how someone like maybe, obviously Gary Anderson plays a bit more than that, but you know, when he say doesn't practice, it will show exactly what's happened to my game and the sort of average before. Before I stopped playing, my average was sitting around the 65 mark, 65, 75, that sort of mark really. So I'm going to play a couple of games and we'll see, but I haven't really thrown anything at all. So I've thrown a couple of darts here now to make sure I didn't hit the wall, because I didn't know what to expect myself, but not much other than that. So yeah, we'll see how we go. I mean, that was lucky, to be honest. That's got to be luck. Hitting 2 trebles within the first throw is obviously a bit lucky. But maybe it's just the arm knowing what's happening. What I expect to happen is there to be quite a few wayward darts, and in my experience, more like that. I think it's more realistic, to be honest. So we'll see what happens, but I've missed it, not gonna lie. It's been tough. It's been tough not really playing. As I say, there's been a lot of things. Wow, that was a wide 12. There's been a lot of things sort of happening in my life and a lot of changes over the last year or so, but at the end of the day, I'm back where I need to be, and playing at the board is a key thing. So there's going to be a lot of practice happening over the coming weeks, and I'm going to try and put also more content out there, you know, more videos, more help videos. I'll get obviously a lot of people asking me for that. Still doing all the coaching side of things as well. You know, Mac Darts is a big part of my life, which people now know a bit more, and obviously supporting the guys in that is really key. I really want to focus on that next year as well. You know, it's really important to me to carry on that journey. So yeah, I'm gonna keep driving on with it, but yeah, I mean, to give you an idea, what's actually happened to my game, I mean, that's, obviously I've not really warmed up, but at the same time, I would say there's less feel over it. I'll be interested to see when I've actually warmed up what exactly happens, and I'll show my stats in the match, but for me, there's a lot less feel in the whole throw. So that's definitely a down point. What I am already noticing and surprised at is I'm not really sort of overanalyzing my throw. So obviously I'm throwing worse, but I think that's just a warm up. Once it's a bit more in tune, I think we'll see. So yeah, definitely the follow through is not what it was. So there's a lot of inconsistency there. You can see the grouping, and it's a lot of drifting. So for me, when the arm is not doing what it should be doing, you're not fully coming through that same power. So that arm hasn't got that same snap as what it had before. because it's no different to doing anything. If you went to the gym for months on end and then all of a sudden you don't go, the first time you go and start to do bench press or dumbbell curls, you're going to feel that little bit of weakness. It's the same as darts. There's just smaller muscles in the arm and they're smaller muscle groups. So the shoulder one's a big one as well, because that makes a big difference. I mean, I'm not going to hit as many 140s, 180s as I used to, because I've noticed before that obviously comes down into quite a big practice function, when you're not throwing regularly. I mean, the way I'm throwing, to be honest, it doesn't feel that much different. It feels a bit rusty, but it doesn't feel that much different. Consider I haven't really thrown for 3 months. It doesn't fit, well, it doesn't look great, but it's always like that when you first start warming up. You see it the same with pros. When you first start warming up and playing, there's not really a consistent dart until your arms warmed up. So it'll be interesting to see. Yeah, I'm really excited to get back to it, and sorry to all those who follow me and have watched my journey. It's been a difficult time, a really difficult year, but that's all behind me, and I'm really looking forward to what's going to come next. So to be honest, I'm very hopeful, and I'm really going after it. So for those who are still watching, I'm going to be going to Qschool. I am going to be going to do a lot of practice. I'm going to do a lot of heavy hours going forward. And I'm going to probably do all of the challenge tour next year. So for me, that is something I wanted to do this year. It couldn't happen, but I'm going to make it happen next year. So that's a very important part of what I want to be doing, just to really test myself. So I'm going to be going after it. And I've got a big target. I'm going to do a subsequent video about this, but I've got a target to hit at least 85, 90 average by Qschool. So when I'm at Qschool, I hope to have at least a 90. It's not all about averages, but for me, there's no surprise that the better players who are averaging regularly 90 and 90 plus on the Pro Tour with a 35% checkout rate, they're the ones who are winning games on the Pro Tour. And I said before, there's no point for me in getting a Pro Tour card if I can't win games on the Pro Tour. So for me, that's the marker, is a 90 plus average and yeah, and a 35% checkout. Generally, I've always been pretty good at my doubles, so I can't really complain too much. But at the same time, it's all about getting that scoring and consistent. Also, I've reminded myself, like, I'm trying to do this format of video a bit more often. I'm just throwing and warm up the arm, by the way, at the moment, because it does make a difference. I'm going to try and do a bit more of this format. Let me know your thoughts and your feedback. We'll try and do a bit more filming board-wise, and obviously a couple of shots of the board, throw in, and then a bit more close-up, just to... Sometimes it's okay looking at someone's face, but sometimes I get bored of looking at my mug. So, and just talking, it's better to actually see a bit of throwing and see what's going on. So that's what I'm going to try and do some more of. So that last one, that was a nice little follow through there. That's what we need to get back to. So in a minute, I'm going to have a few more throws, and then I'm going to get to work on a little match. It's still pretty bad. Yeah, I think I'm going to need a bit more warming up. So I'm going to fast forward this bit, and I'm going to show what I'm like just before I've warmed up. So. Okay, so now I'm warmed up. 140, I'm not going to wait until I hit 180, I could be here a while. It's coming back, so the 100s, the 140s, when I get in that rhythm, it didn't take much longer than what it did before to warm up, in fairness. It's just a bit more rusty to begin with. And obviously, there's not as much finesse, there's not as much adjustment ability. You know, you can't sort of go, oh, let me just pop that over the top. There's not that little bit of control there. So that's what's missing. So that's exactly what's happened with my dart game, really, in terms of practice. This is the result of this practice match, which I'm going to show now. So being totally honest, this game against computer gives a bit of an idea. This is what I compared it to before, but being realistic, the most amount of difference is going to be when you play a match. I've found that you will be more consistent over your doubles because you're not really thinking or expecting too much. Sometimes your actually doubles can go worse when you're like expecting to go out quickly or you've done a lot of practice. Especially initially when you first start throwing again, you can sort of, you know, be happy-go-lucky, a bit like when you first start playing and everything goes sort of where you want it to go within reason. But then after a while, you're being realistic that you can see the scoring's not consistent here. There's a lot of like 45s and other stuff thrown in there, which when you're playing well doesn't really happen so much. You're more 100, 140, you know, 95, the odd one slips, whereas there's multiple darts slipping. Doubles wasn't too bad, as to be expected on this sort of match that's not really high pressured. You know, it's not for titles or anything like that, it's just playing at home really. So that makes a big difference. But yeah, and I do play it on a lower level so that you're mainly focusing on your game. But you can see the stats there are not terrible, but they're also not that consistent either. If you see some of the 45s, 55s, you know, and some low scoring there. So that gives you a good idea of what it's like. So it was very interesting. The match was challenging mentally, to say the least. I'm quite surprised, to be honest. I mean, that sort of average, yeah, it's not much different to what it was before, to be honest. Yeah, I'm only playing myself, but again, that was what I did previously as the stats just before I stopped playing for a little while. So yeah, it's not really that much different in all honesty, which I'm quite surprised at. I think that can happen though. I've seen a lot of people have breaks over the years where they break and then play and they come back stronger, but that's without really doing any practice. So for me, I've actually changed my mind in believing that, like people like Gary Anderson said, they don't practice. I do believe that. I think after a certain period, once you've been playing a couple of years and you've really got that muscle density, and then also you have two parts of you know, darts practice and darts growth. You have the muscle part, which is no different to when you ride a bike, but you also have the mental part, which is for people who care about it, the myelin sheath, which is a protein that wraps around your neurons. So in your brain, you've got a section that basically grows that new skill in electrical circuits. So that sends all the signals to do that task, or do that skill, and that's what grows over time. And after a couple of years, you can't really forget it. Once it's there, I feel like it takes about maybe a year and a half, 2 years to really bed it in, and then it becomes part of your core sort of memory. Because I feel like I could probably go 4 months, 5 months, and it wouldn't really make much difference. I don't know about a couple of years, I'd rather not try it. But I think over that period, it doesn't really change that much. So for me, hitting still what I'd consider a decent average, I don't know what you think, but you know, I'm surprised it's even at that sort of level, really. I thought it'd be a lot lower. I thought it'd be somewhere around like the 50 or even below that, dropping down. But it just goes to show, you know, maybe Gary Anderson doesn't really practice and just turns up. He's been doing it that long, he's got that consistent amount of throw. But one thing I do know for sure is that, and I'm going to prove this in my videos, is that what is going to happen is I'm going to now uplift that, start doing more practice, and then that's going to then uplift. So I can pretty much guarantee, because of all the previous and all the training I do with people and the darts coach and stuff, that in say 2 months' time, towards the end of the year, just before Qschool, I will be throwing regularly, you know, 80 plus averages. We'll see. What can I bring at Qschool? Irrelevant whether I'm not going there to get a tour card. That's not really the aim of it. For me, it's about playing in the challenge tour, developing my skills, moving forward and growing and showing other people what it's like, really. Good few years in now, so over that 2,000 hours mark. But yeah, I get back on it and a big one to go. So what happens after you don't practice darts for, you know, 3 months straight? Not that much. Bit of an anticlimax, but actually it's very important to know that once you've gone past that period, you can maintain it, but what you can't do is expect to grow. What I'm not going to expect here is go and play, and this is what people who play sort of week on, week off, or they don't put any outside practice in, they're leaving it to a bit of the lap of the gods of whether they play well or not. Whereas I don't want to do that. I don't want to throw, nothing wrong with it, but I don't want to throw it at, a 60-70 average the rest of my life. I want to reach that top level. So for me, practice is the only way to do that. And I will share more of my practice routines. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and glad to be back. There'll be more coming from me. So if you don't like looking at me, go watch someone else's channel. But if you do, hopefully you get on that board and practice with me. Thanks, guys.